If I was a sailor, 7 oceans I'd sail to her. If I was a wiser man.
Herzlich willkommen bei Transit TV, Midge Ure. Thanks, Midge, for taking some time.
It's a pleasure. It's nice to be here.
Midge, thanks for talking to us. You've had a long, or you're still having a very long and illustrious musical career. What memories do you have of the city Frankfurt? Back, the last 20, 30 years of playing here. I know you produced a track with Jam Elmar from Jam and Spoon about 13 years ago. What memories do you have of the city Frankfurt?
Well, Frankfurt, I mean, Ultravox toured Germany a lot back in the 80s, and Frankfurt was obviously one of the main areas we played. I didn't know an awful lot about the music scene in Frankfurt. I knew a lot about what was happening in Düsseldorf with the electronic music, but I suppose more recently, yes, working with Jam and Spoon was something that I knew about. But yeah, it's lovely being back here. It's good.
Midge, you're part of the Rock Meets Classic tour that has known groups like Europe, Kansas, Sweet, and Thin Lizzy. What's the most unique and challenging thing of being a part of this great tour with these great artists?
Well, I think the odd thing was it's very much a rock tour. It's an orchestra and rock bands, and they asked me to do it, and I thought, well, it's interesting because Ultravox were never seen as a rock band. Most people saw them as an electronic band. So it's interesting for me to go and perform in that style, with a full orchestra. But it's understandable because Ultravox music and the music I write suits an orchestra, that very big melodic thing. So it worked incredibly well.
Your latest album, Fragile, charted at number 66. How proud are you that in today's music scene that you were able to produce something that actually charted, because nowadays it's really difficult to get music in the charts?
Yeah, it is. I'm not, I think when you're younger, maybe 20, 30 years ago, the chart positions were really important to you. And now it's changed so much because it's not just about record sales, it's about streaming, there's all sorts of things taken into consideration. To me, it's much more important making a piece of music that you are proud of. And the fact that it got anywhere in the charts is a major thing. So I was just happy with what I made. And of course, that just indicates that someone else liked it, which is good.
Midge, when I think of your name, the first two things that pop into mind are Ultravox and Band-Aid. But I didn't know, please forgive me, I didn't know you were part of Thin Lizzy and also of Visage. How important were being a part of these projects that helped you shape your musical career as time went on?
Well, Visage was something I put together with my old Rich Kids friend Rusty Egan. We bought a synthesizer. I bought a synthesizer after hearing what was coming from Germany. Back in '77, I think it was 1977. We were listening to Neu, Can, Le Düsseldorf, Kraftwerk, all of these great German artists. And I bought a synthesizer to integrate it into the Rich Kids, and half the band hated it. So the half the band that liked it, Rusty and I, we formed Visage. We put our favourite musicians together. While I was in the studio doing, I think it was Fade to Grey, I was producing Fade to Grey, I got a phone call from Philip Lynott, the leader of Thin Lizzy, who was in America, who was a friend of mine. And he said, can you come to America and finish the tour? One of the guitarists is gone. Can you come and do the thing? So I did it, but I'd already joined Ultravox at this point. So through Visage, I met Billy Currie, I joined Ultravox, and then was asked to go out and do this very short stint with Thin Lizzy, but knowing I was coming back to Ultravox all the time.
Many might say one of the first electronic songs, after Kraftwerk, but like 1979, Gary Numan's Cars. But there's so many early tracks that one could say, yeah, that belongs to the pioneer tracks, but one of those that many producers nowadays like to say, oh, one of the first tracks I listened to was Fade to Grey from Visage. When you guys were making that track, did you have any feeling that this track could have such an impact on the scene in the future?
Not really. I think naivety, you understand, naive, when you're not quite sure of what you're doing. When you're young and you're naive, you tend to believe that what you're doing is interesting anyway. So if you make something that's interesting for you, hopefully someone else will like it. If you sit down and design to make music to appeal to everyone else, you'll not be happy. So when we were making Fade to Grey, Billy, the keyboard player in Ultravox, was touring with Gary Newman on the back of his success. Ultravox was still trying to find their way. I had just done the stint with, just about to do the stint with Thin Lizzy. So when we wrote Fade to Grey, it was Chris Payne, who was the other keyboard player in Gary Newman's band, and we just put this thing together, thinking it was interesting. Nobody saw that 35 years later, people, young electronic musicians would cite Fade to Grey or Vienna or whatever as pivotal moments in their career. They'd still look back at those pieces of music and see them as something other than just pieces of music.
So then Ultravox was born. What do you believe was your knack of being able to start new projects that always became instant successes, which Ultravox became?
I don't think it was. I don't think I had any knack or any plan. If someone came to you with the prospect of joining a band who had been around, they'd made 3 albums, they'd been around for years, they had just lost a singer, just lost a guitar player, just been dropped by the record label, it would be you wouldn't think twice about saying no. But I loved what Ultravox were doing before I even joined the band. They were already working with Conny Plank, the very famous German electronic producer. They were really onto something that was very, very interesting. So when I was offered the chance of being part of Ultravox, forget the fact they had no label and they owed lots of money to people and they had no management, and it was just exciting. So I think it was the combination of people together, me joining the other 3, that we did something to each other, we sparked off each other, that created the new Ultravox, the next level of Ultravox. So there was no plan, it was just the chemistry was right.
Midge, many people will say that the most known song of Ultravox was Dancing with Tears in My Eyes, but also Vienna was also a big hit and loved by many. It also was groundbreaking in the video scene because it utilized cinematic techniques. How important was having a video like this for the future of making music videos?
We saw it as incredibly important. If you look at the Ultravox period from when I joined, the graphics, the artwork, the record sleeves, the posters, everything we did, the stage sets, everything we did was stylized. It was really important that it complemented the music. So the sleeve would have to be as interesting, hopefully, as what was inside the sleeve. So when it came to making videos, we already had ideas. We didn't want an electronic video shot on video, on tape. We wanted a film. We wanted a movie that was shot on 16mm film. We cropped the screen top and bottom to make it look like CinemaScope. It was all very film noir. It was all black and white and grainy and atmospheric. So even to the extent that we had done one video before Vienna. We had done a video for the song Passing Strangers, where we used all of those parameters, all of those image ideas. And when it came to doing Vienna, we'd already kind of done it. We knew exactly what we wanted to achieve. But our record company didn't see that there was any point in having a video, because Vienna, the song, was already #2 in the charts in the UK. And I had to explain to them that with a video, we could control the images that people saw. We could control the visuals and the sound complementing each other. Whereas when you came over here to do a television show, you were at the director's mercy. You walked onto his image of his idea of what the music was all about. So, so the visuals, the videos, even way before the likes of MTV and any music television, we thought that was incredibly important, because it's what people's first perceptions were of you. When they saw you for the first time, they saw you in the right environment.
Ja. 2 Minuten noch. Hier kam gerade so ein Manager, der gesagt hat.
Okay. All right. What remains the most frequent thing that people ask you about the song "Do They Know It's Christmas" over 30 years later?
Oh, I think you know how it came about. I think it's amazing that people still refer to that song, and people still love it, which is amazing. So every time that record is played, the songwriting royalties go to the Band Aid Trust, which go to Fund Africa.
That's a good thing. Midge, where would you rank that song in the pieces of music you've written?
I nowhere. As a song, it's not very good. As a song, it's okay. As a record, it was great. It was a great record, but just not a very good song.
One of my favorite songs of you was actually That Certain Smile. I was a little disappointed that it wasn't able to follow the success of If I Was. Did you ever ponder about this?
Well, yeah, you know, it seemed like an obvious choice to follow on from If I Was, but for whatever reason, radio didn't like it. They didn't want to play it. It just wasn't to be. But I can't go back there and change things. You just have to get on with life.
In 2004, you collaborated with Jam Elmar and Jam and Spoon with Something to Remind Me. What memories do you have of that tight studio in Frankfurt, the All-Star Music Warehouse?
It was fantastic. I loved the fact that they had this little unit where they could create all this fabulous music, and it was very similar to my little setup at home. You know, I've always had a studio, and we were very compatible when it came to ideas. They were really good producer engineers, and it was just a joy to work with them.
You're 62 now. What goals do you still have as a musician?
Well, I'm 63.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I think I prepared this last year, these questions.
My big goal is to get through 2016 alive, because it's been a dreadful year for musicians.
You love to cook. What's the most tasty dish that you make for your family and friends?
Anything that's palatable, anything you can eat.
Okay, we've come to the end. Last question, Midge. If this was actually your last gig, which it won't be,
I hope not.
you're going to probably have many more great gigs, but what will be the last track that you'll play, or the last piece of music that you will play before you end your last gig ever?
You know, I'd like it to be an earworm. I'd like it to be something that people just cannot get out of their heads. That'd be a lovely legacy to leave.
Okay. Midge, thank you so much for being a part of Tranenergy TV, and all the best, and continue giving us great music.
Thank you very much.
If I was a sailor, 7 oceans I'd sail to her. If I was wise, we tuned it down, we heard the news and laughed. We don't know why. Dankeschön. Thank you very much.